Good morning, everybody. It's been a few days. We've had all different kinds of weather experiences here. Yes, just a couple days ago, my neighbor told me that we had at least 25 tornadoes in my city. That was a few days ago. And then the day before yesterday, we had really crazy stormy weather. So I wasn't able to get outside. I love to make, these videos outside because you can hear the wind and the birds. So beautiful. Okay, so my name is Michelle, and I'm going to be reading from 101 Proofs for God by Jim Stevens. So yeah, 101. Yeah, this one now is really inspired. So I'm going to try to read it very clearly so that you can follow along. It's really quite unbelievable. I hope you're sitting down. Okay. This one is proof number 29. Chapter 29, and it's called Mathematics. Mathematicians have completely refuted the possibility of random action as the source for life or the development of species. The problem is that you have never heard about it, and the statements that they've made are buried away by deniers of everything but godless evolution. After the development of super-fast computers, it became possible for researchers to test out theories by creating computer models. Randomness and survival of the fittest, natural selection, were totally refuted mathematically as the process that could produce advanced species. I invite you to read up on the Worcester Institute Symposium, Mathematical Challenges to the Neo-Darwinian Theory of Evolution, that took place in Philadelphia back in April 1966. It was chaired by the Nobel Prize winner, Sir Peter Medawar, and only the most distinguished authorities in their fields were invited. As an example of one of the presentations, Dr. Murray Eden demonstrated that even a single ordered pair of genes could not evolve in the whole lifespan of the Earth. His example started with a preposterous amount of E. coli bacteria, 5 trillion tons of it, namely, covering the planet nearly an inch deep, and showed it was mathematically impossible for a protein to develop, even in all of that. So Weiser was followed up by other meetings in Outback in 1969 and Chicago in 1980. Each conference became more and more contentious as evolutionists fought against the mathematicians. As a result, Darwinists had to give up on randomness and gradual change as the process of evolution. So they made up new ideas such as punctuated equilibrium, which is essentially stating that sudden gigantic changes took place. Never mind that this is the opposite of Darwin's theory of slow, gradual changes. Also, of course, those unexplained, sudden, and dramatic changes which resulted in new species occurred by an unknown process which they had not discovered yet. By the way, it also has to violate known laws of chemistry, physics, and biology. Many evolutionists hold onto natural selection as the magic formula. Somehow, it selects out the good developments, mutations, and the bad ones disappear. But we know that a simple bacteria has millions of ingredients that must be correct for it to survive. It's inconceivable that all those ingredients were added one at a time, and at each step, the resultant being was better adapted to its environment and so became the sole survivor of the species for the next stage to follow. Even allowing for sudden change and multiple steps at once, we still cannot make enough changes to account for all the necessary developments to get a simple bacteria. What about all the millions of higher order species that are thousands or millions of times more complicated? We know that researchers on mutations have not been able to produce any new species in all their efforts, only change within a species. In fact, the chances of a possibly beneficial mutation are about 1 in more than 1,000. That means 99 mutations out of 1,000 are harmful or neutral. Let's ignore that fact for a second and use a simple to understand example. Let's say we flip a coin. Head means we have a beneficial mutation. Tails means we have a harmful or neutral mutation. Every time you get a tail, you move back 1 step. Just using the laws of probability, how far will you have moved after 1,000,000 years? Exactly nowhere. You are in the same place. In this example, you had a 50-50 chance of moving forward in evolution by mutation. But as we know, the odds of a beneficial mutation are not even close to 50-50. They are 1,000 to 1, right? The believers in natural selection would say that when certain good things happen, then there is no going backwards. That's like saying every time you get 3 heads in a row, the flip of a coin, you make permanent progress towards some unknown destination where you want to end up. So even if you get 3 tails in a row, there's no going back. How natural selection really works is a mystery, since no one has ever seen it in an experiment. Also, there is no explanation why it goes in a certain direction. It's like saying natural selection got us where we are because we're here. That does not contain proof of anything. It's circular reasoning, right? That's about the essence of the theory of evolution. We know we are here, and we must have gotten here by natural selection because there is no God. That's their reasoning. I read lots of articles about mathematical calculations for evolution, and I invite you to read them and make up your own mind who has a plausible explanation. Just for fun here, in one number that I read, which fascinated me, let me read that again. Just for fun here is one number that I read which fascinated me. A mathematician calculated the time it would take under very suitable conditions for a usable protein to hook up from available amino acids. That number was, get this, 10 to the power of 171 years. When we start getting into really big numbers, they are very hard to comprehend. That doesn't seem like such a big number. Actually, there are only 10 to the power of 80 atoms in the universe. Here is what that number would be in some sense by our reality. If you gave an amoeba 10 to the power of 171 years, he could carry every single atom in the universe, one by one, all the way across the universe and back. That would equal 30 billion light years. More than 600,000 trillion million times if he were traveling at the unbelievably slow speed of 1 inch every 15 billion years, which is the age of the universe, by the way. Jim says he loves it. There are 3,000 trillion atoms in the period at the end of this sentence. Let me read that again. There are 3,000 trillion atoms in the period at the end of this sentence. So if a mathematician calculates the odds of life developing randomly at 1 in 10 to the power of 1,000, then I would say the argument is over. That's just the kind of impossibly high number we're talking about. And thus evolution is totally impossible mathematically. So this is what the last sentence Jim concludes with. And that is, can you see it? That there must be God. Okay. Thank you so much, Jim, for putting this together. I don't know if I mentioned that this book was written by a spectacular friend of mine with a deep heart and a love for God. His name is Jim Stevens. Yeah. So the next chapter we're going to read, proof number 30. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to keep it a secret. Okay. Very exciting. Okay. I will see you another time. Take care, everybody. Bye.